a very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Syam Supriya Mataji, Dandrat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for giving your constant association. Hare Krishna and welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Shyamasupaya, my humble obeisance, Jai Srila Prabhupada. This is Radha Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to the assembled devotees, Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for giving your very wonderful association this morning. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danut pranams to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev. This is Lalitangi Radha Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very precious time this morning, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam to all the devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I think I'm too excited to see Lalitangi Mataji give class today. I was waiting so long, so words are not coming in my mouth. But so grateful for this class. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sukhasagri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Shilpa from Virginia.
Hare Krishna, Shilpa Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna. Shilpa Mataji, is this your first time on the call?
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, Jai.
I joined, but I never introduced myself. I sometimes join.
Okay, very nice, Mataji. Very nice. So please give your association constantly, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, are there anybody on the call who would like to introduce themselves? Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees to our Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call of our Srila Prabhupada summary classes. So as part of the series, today we have chapter 16 summary. This summary is going to be given by Her Grace Lalitangi Radha Devi Dasi Mataji. Hare Krishna Lalitangi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for giving your precious time and valuable association this morning and giving the chapter summary of 16. And we are looking forward, Mataji. I now hand over the call to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shyam Supriya Mataji, thanks to you and all the devotees who have been doing this. This session, of course, you know, it's Srila Prabhupada is our preeminent Siksha Guru, and our Fridays are dedicated to him. For so many years, you have been continuously hosting and organizing the reading of the 7 volume of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrta. And also after that, hearing the lectures, and we read some letters. So now you're doing this service, Mataji. Definitely, I need your blessings. You're so dear to Srila Prabhupada to be doing this service. And thanks to you, all the organizers, for giving me this opportunity. So, yeah, we'll start with prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamshcham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacham Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanandam Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkrpatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada Lilamrta, it's as the name indicates, it's full of nectar of the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. And this is Srila Prabhupada has said that there are two types of Bhagavatas, the book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavata, because the person lives the book. So there's no difference between the book and the person. And Prabhupada Lilamrta is both the book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavata, because Srila Prabhupada says that I will live in my books. And this is personally his life history, especially the last 10 years, elaborated into 7 volumes. And we have been seeing that in the first volume about his birth and childhood pastimes, and about his meeting of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and how he was constantly engaged in preaching, even though he was a grahastha, and how he went to League of Devotees. He started the League of Devotees, and it was quite successful for a year. And then how by the pressure of the wife of the governor, he had to give that up, and he was living in a few ashramas of his god brothers, and he took sannyas, and he continued his writing books and publishing of Back to Godhead. And we also saw how desperate he was to go to the West in the Japan convention, especially that he's trying his best to find himself a ticket to go to Japan to take part in that symposium there, where he wrote the book, The Light of Bhagavata, with beautiful illustrations. And that didn't happen. And then he's sitting at the steps of Sumati Murarji to convince her, and he has been sitting there for 5 hours. Sadhu in the step of the office, and finally Sumati Murarji gives in, and he's coming here in the ship, and 2 heart attacks, and then his stay in Butler, Pennsylvania. How he was very caring and very sensible to the people whom he meets. So we can see the sweet relationship between him and Sally Agarwal. And I also recently read a letter that he wrote to Sally Agarwal from New York. After he came to New York, then he's in with Dr. Mishra, the Yoga Society. And from there, he writes a letter asking her to come to New York and then start a business, cooking, like a hotel. He's seeing that there is so much need for good vegetarian cooking, and he can provide the means for it if she can give some investment, and they can find a place, they can make a hotel. So, and then and he's also telling that I'm also like her child's name is Biju, and he's telling please consider me as an older Biju. And Sally had written to him about the child started walking, taking steps and walking, and he's adventurous. So he's writing to her that please consider me as an older Biju, and I'm also adventurous in trying to establish my mission here. And as a mother, you can try to help me. So the whole letter was about how to encourage Sally. She was a business-minded woman, and he's not preaching much there about the philosophy or Bhagavad Gita. But as Srila Rupa Goswami says, he's trying to engage her from where she is, what she can do for Krishna. And that was so interesting to read. Then, so now, up till the last chapter, we saw that when he came, he was sharing a room in the apartment of Dr. Mishra. Then, after a few weeks, Dr. Mishra found it inconvenient to maintain the Swami in his apartment. So he moved him to a Hatha Yoga studio, which he owned. And that was room number 501. And we can imagine a studio. It's a very small place, and it's like a office building. It's not meant for a residence. But so Srila Prabhupada had to walk 7 blocks to take a bath and cook, and he was doing that every day. And then it is described that how difficult it is to walk in that area. When we went to New York Rath Yatra, we visited the 26th 2nd Avenue, and also we visited the far end of it near the Hudson River. Even in summer, the winds are so chilly and it is so windy there, even in summer. And then what we could speak of in winter. So Prabhupada had to brave that cold wind, and he used a coat that Dr. Mishra had given him, and he used to walk 7 blocks, and all that, how he used to walk and which exactly the street, everything is described nicely, and then go there, take a shower and cook for Dr. Mishra also. So, but then the problem with 501 was it was dark and there was no sunlight there. So Prabhupada moved to room number 307 in the same building, but that was even smaller. And Satsarup Maharaj explains that it can be defined. If you want to define that room, it's called like a railroad car, or to put it in Indian terms, a train compartment. So when you enter into the train compartment, it's so narrow and not much space. That was room number 307. And it's actually meant for a small office building. So there was again, the same thing. There is no facility to cook, facility to take bath. And so he had to walk to Dr. Mishra's studio to do this. And we also know that Dr. Mishra was talking personalism and Srila Prabhupada. After 70 years of trying to come here, and he's seeing the need, but he's silenced because he's dependent on Dr. Mishra for everything. And Dr. Mishra also senses a threat, because previously he was allowing him to speak, and then he saw that he spoke so much logic, and his students are more attracted to him. So he said that, okay, now I will speak and then you can sing Kirtan. So he was not even allowed to speak, but he would, we also read how he would argue with Dr. Mishra about a personalistic concept and also ask him that I have come here with a mission, so you please help me. You're a scholar, Sanskrit scholar, you can help me. And then he's defeating his impersonalism, but with love and care for him. So Dr. Mishra says that if that Swami had not come, Bhaktivedanta had not come at that point of time, probably I would have died. He's 70 years old and Dr. Mishra is 42 years old, and he had so much health problems at that time. He was hardly able to eat. But you can imagine what fortune it is to be eating the food that is cooked by Prabhupada himself personally and offered to the Lord. And, slowly he regained his strength. That's what Dr. Mishra says. So this is a condition. He is in room number 307. That means he is independent. The 501 room was a part of Dr. Mishra's yoga studio. So there was no rent to it. So he had to pay $72 rent a month. That means he needs to arrange for the rent and also his groceries and everything else. So he has no regular income, and that's only way he could get some money was distributing his books. And when he went to buy out the groceries that is required, he found a chili powder for 25 cents. Just a little amount of chili powder for 25 cents. And that is 10 times what he would have paid in India. So, but there's no other course. So, but he came to this new place and he's free to preach. It's not that, he's asked only to sing Kirtan and he cannot talk personal philosophy. So we can imagine how much there is no limit to what he can do for Krishna, whether there is comfort or not, whether there is inconvenience or not. I mean, Himalayan amount of inconveniences, but he goes strong. He's happy with a little amount of, if there is any positive thing to his preaching, a little hope. He's happy with that. So he's happy that he has a small place. He has a place of his own. And, even in the indirect terms, that cannot be even called a temple or even a house. It was just a bare office room with no furniture, nothing at all. And he had his trunk and his blankets. So he used the trunk as the desk, and the blankets he used to put it on the floor and sleep there. And whoever came to listen to him, also there was not even a rug on the floor for them to sit. So even for a person who is spiritually inclined, to come to that room and hear him is a big austerity. So, but then he recorded. He had one of Mishra's student donated to him a tape recorder. So he recorded the introduction to Gita Upanishad, essay in that, and some bhajans in that. And he also said that he's going to give lectures 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 evenings. Whoever would come, but you never know. I mean, whether someone would come or not, whether there were a lot of people or no people, but he kept on, this program of him continued. And he writes to Sumati Morarji that he has got his own place. And the first thing he writes is this, that, let me share the screen. Yeah, so what he's writing, that I'm very much encouraged when you wrote to say that I feel that you should stay there until you fully recover from your illness and return only after you have completed your mission. I think these lines dictated by you are the words of Lord Balakrishna expressed through your goodness. So, I mean, practically, she is the only one who has written this. And we saw in the previous chapter, he's writing to Padampat Singhania. First, he said that we have to build a big temple. I'm ready to spend millions of rupees, but you need to have a land on your own where we can build a temple, very artistic temple. And then Srila Prabhupada says, I am Vrindavan boy, and we have found something. You can just pay, and later we can make it a dome and make a temple. And then he says he's not interested, but still he keeps writing until he did not write back, but he asked the secretary to write back telling that Mr. Singhania is sorry that he cannot help you with this project. None of the other letters, whomever he wrote to, whether the government or his own godbrothers or anyone, replied anything positively at all. And this is the only letter, and she said that, you should be there until you complete the mission, and he's feeling so much encouraged. So he's not discouraged by 100 things, but he's encouraged by one small thing, taking the clue from there, that what Krishna wants. And also we can see that he's addressing the Lord as Balakrishna, because as we all know, Sumati Morarji is coming from the Sampradaya where they worship Balakrishna. So yeah, so he's saying that how much this movement is getting reception here. There are so many people, they are coming and listening to us. And this is I'm the first one to talk about bhakti to them. So far, whoever has come, they spoke about yoga, but not bhakti. So then this is the next chapter, the next part, it goes about saying a typical day. We only know one lecture, maybe a half of what happened on one day during those times that is mentioned here. So this is that Srila Prabhupada is talking from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And we can see that he's coming to the point of Arjuna having friendly talks with the Lord, and then there is no solution that's coming to his problem with a friendly talk. And now he decided to accept Krishna as a supreme personal, Krishna as a spiritual master. So this is a heavy topic for a casual audience. I mean, you don't. There has not been even regular committed people coming, but he would talk. What is there in the book? So while he's talking, he's seeing that a man is reading a book. So he's asking, what are you doing? He's telling that I'm reading a translation of Bhagavad Gita. So at this time, there is no Bhagavad Gita as it is printed. We can see that, he has only Bhagavatam. So he's talking from his manuscripts. So he tells the man, please hear me. And the man is answering, I'm hearing you. And then he's saying that, you don't divert your attention, just hear me. So this shows about the insensibility of the audience here. In India, the culture, at least at that time, was when someone is speaking on Vyasasana, everybody is sitting and hearing, and they don't do something else on their own. A katha going on means you sit and listen. But that's not the audience he got. There is no culture of that listening, and they are doing anything they want. And Prabhupada very nicely but firmly tells him that, you just hear me, and then speaks about what is a spiritual master, how important it is to have a spiritual master for one's spiritual life. And he's giving, so this is not a prepared talk on a specific topic, but he's relating to the audience, giving them example that there is do you know sacred thread? He's asking them, but nobody has any idea of sacred thread, but they have seen. And then Satsarup Maharaj explains what a sacred thread is, and the thread that is in 3 strands that goes around, that shows that a person is initiated, and then he has a spiritual master and he chants his Gayatri in that. So that's the mark of a person to show that he's a spiritual master. And to say about the mark, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that in India, the ladies, they wear the mark on the head, showing that they are married, and then they part the hair in the center, showing that they are from the respectable family. But if they are parting the hair in the side, means he's not touching the hair, he's just showing it close, that in the side, that means they are not, a respectable lady will not part this. This we saw even when he was staying in India, in Bombay, while the visa was getting done, Sumati Morarji gave him a small apartment to stay in a colony. And in that place, he was giving some lectures, and the neighboring families would come, and there were women also sitting there, and he said that this there also, that part your hair in the center, that is the thing. So we can see that we saw that one Mataji, she remembers that Srila Prabhupada gave her that instruction, and they would cook prasadam, they would offer something and give it to him. Even a small time, even a little time he's in a place, he's seeing how I can preach this to them and engage them in Krishna's service. So he's telling about the mark and then the sacred thread, and about how ladies dress in it. These are all for an American audience. It's like, wow. It's like seeing a documentary telling about some customs of some people in some country, but he's telling all this to the point to say that one has to accept the spiritual master. His lecture is not to give about the cultural things in India, although they are very, it attracts their attention. His lecture is green. He's coming back to the point why it is important to take a spiritual master. And then there is a question. Here he's asking, what is the line in the hair called? And then somebody is saying a part, and Srila Prabhupada is asking, what is the spelling? So that means they don't know anything about Bhagavad Gita, and he knows English, but he's still taking their help initially to try to present the matter in such a way that it is understandable. They can relate to it, what he's speaking to. So he has to spoon feed Bhagavad Gita. So after this thing, a lady is then he goes to the topic of going to sacred places. So he says that there is a very famous shloka where Krishna says in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that a sacred place a person should go, not to just take bath in the river, but should hear and take association from the saints and the advanced devotees there. So after this, woman is asking a question that the secret places, you said, and then he says, no, it's not secret, it is sacred. So it just shows that, his accent was not easy for them to understand, but they're also trying to strain their ears, trying to see what the Swami is trying to tell me. Even just the Swami itself was a sensation there. Somebody from India wearing dhoti and tilak, and the room is complete bare poverty, and he's telling something that makes so much sense. So then he says it's a sacred place and not a secret place. Then she says, oh, okay, sacred places. Okay. Then she says that these sacred places, they have some magnetism in there, right? Because there are so many conversations that is going on, that has taken place among advanced saints and advanced people there. Then he says, yes, I'm coming from such a place in Vrindavan. And that's enough for him to remember Vrindavan. So he says that I am sitting in New York, and this is the best city in the world. One of the biggest happening city in the world, but I'm not happy here. Because my mind is in Vrindavan. I'm very comfortable there. But this is a very nice conversation. So he says, see, I'm not happy here. And the woman says, yes, I know. I should be very happy to return to my Vrindavana, that sacred place. But then, why are you here? You may ask, right? Why are you here? Now, because it is my duty. I brought some message for you people. because I have been ordered by my superior, my spiritual master. Whatever you have learned, you should go to the Western countries and you must distribute this knowledge. So, in spite of all my difficulties, all my inconveniences, I am here because I am obligated by duty. If I go and sit down in Vrindavana, that will be good for my personal conveniences. I shall be very comfortable there and I will have no anxiety, nothing of the sort. But I have taken all the risk in this old age because I am duty bound. I am duty bound. So I have to execute my duty despite all my inconveniences. So we can see the glimpse of Srila Prabhupada's mood here. Of course, I mean, he is a pure devotee, and even if he hadn't come here to preach, or even if he had come here and seen so many inconveniences and so many obstacles, he could have gone back. He was, in fact, there is a Hindi lecture that I heard that he's saying that a few times he went to see when is the next ship going back to India. Because it was not easy for him to survive here with no money and nobody to support to, and the movement is not growing the first 1 year from 1965 to 1966. So, but still, he says that, I am duty bound. And that's why, we cannot be grateful enough for Srila Prabhupada for this service. So, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkadaha Agama Paino Nitya Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. Whether the circumstances is convenient or not, he's fixed on one thing. How can I serve the order of my Guru? Because I am obligated by duty. So he's taken that into the heart, very deep into the heart. Otherwise, why will he do that? And also he's undergoing so many inconveniences because Krishna knows that those inconveniences doesn't touch him. But we don't know. If he had come here and then the Sali Agarwal, she becomes a disciple. I'm just saying aloud. And then, then they give money and he built everything. We don't know these qualities of Srila Prabhupada, how he went against all odds after odds after odds. Like Krishna, one demon after another demon was coming till he was 10 years old. And the next demon was more formidable than the previous demon. So he was getting all obstacles. We will see that, it's not easy. He went to the point of almost losing his life because of this. So that is a risk that he has taken because he's fixed in the service of a spiritual master. And then, while he's doing the lecture, somebody comes and he says, yes, you can come here. So this is just a small part to show what was Srila Prabhupada's life when he was living in room number 307 and how he dealt. In between, there is one more thing. So he's saying that Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead because that Bhagavan Uvacha comes there and his purport is that. And Krishna is full of beauty and full of strength and opulences. And then he looks back at the audience and asks, have you seen a picture of Krishna? And have you seen? He's asking 2 times, but there is no answer from them. So he's talking to someone who has no idea what Krishna is. So he pauses. They have never, in India, even a small child will know. If you just put a flute and a peacock feather, you don't need to draw anything. These two, that shows that there is Krishna. But they've never heard, never seen even a picture of Krishna. And to that audience, he's talking Bhagavad Gita in a way that they can appreciate, in a way that they can relate to. So there is one other question in this conversation that a person is asking. If a disciple is in ignorance, how can he choose the spiritual master? Because he's saying one has to very seriously, very scrutinizingly choose a spiritual master, because by abiding to whose order he can be liberated. So if he chooses a wrong spiritual master, then the whole life is spoiled. So the question from the audience is, the student is in ignorance. So when he is in ignorance, how can he select a proper spiritual master? So Srila Prabhupada gives an example. Of course, there has to be some basic knowledge. The student has to search for the spiritual master and know what is spirituality. He gives an example that if you want to go to a school, you should at least know what a school is. You cannot go to a cloth shop and then look for a school. At least you should know what a school is and what a cloth shop is. So he's giving this example and saying that there has to be a basic, little bit knowledge to make that wise decision. And then why we accept a spiritual master? To ask questions. And then about the transcendental subject matter. So how can we ask questions about the transcendental subject matter to a spiritual master if we don't have any search for that or have any knowledge for that? So he's explaining this very beautifully. Let me read this. So the first thing is that one should be searching after a spiritual master, just as you search after some school. You must at least have some preliminary knowledge of what a school is. You can't search for a school and go to a cloth shop. If you're so ignorant that you do not know what is a school and what is a cloth shop, then it is very difficult for you. You must know at least what a school is, so that knowledge is like this. And then he explains that, we go to the spiritual master to understand what transcendental knowledge is. So yeah, this is a typical thing. And he's also relating to them that this world is full of inconveniences, and he gives examples just like there's a snowstorm and New York is filled with storm and snow, and all of us are inconvenienced. So like this, with no prepared topic, but then talking to them and then taking, sometimes he's talking on a topic and then there is an irrelevant question from the audience and he patiently answers that, what question is. But he's giving them what his spiritual master wanted to do. So the next part is we'll see that he comes across a student of Dr. Mishra, who is Robert Nelson. So Robert Nelson came to Dr. Mishra's classes, and then he was attracted to the Swami, and he's singing, and then he spent some 1 hour after the class going through different pictures. And I mean, this is probably the first person or a few of the first persons who are coming to show their interest to even spend some time with Srila Prabhupada. So then he says that tomorrow you come to room number 307, I'm there. So then Robert Nelson spends the whole day in 307, where Srila Prabhupada opens his trunk, shows the books, shows the picture of Chaitanya Panchatattva and his spiritual master. And then he shows Srimad Bhagavatam, and he sold a 3-volume set of Srimad Bhagavatam, which Robert purchased for $16.50. Because why? Srila Prabhupada needed money to pay the bills and to at least survive. And even Jayashree Mataji said this when she first met Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada asked her, do you have Bhagavad Gita? And she took a copy of Bhagavad Gita which she was having, and Srila Prabhupada asked her to read one purport or thing of that and prove to her that how the shloka is telling something different, but the translation and the explanation is something exactly opposite. And he says that this is my Bhagavad Gita as it is. And he puts it on the desk and he says it is, I forgot how much he said, $10 or maybe $3 or $4. And then Jayashree Mataji says that I'm shocked that a spiritual teacher is asking money for the books. But then she said that little did I know at that time that every book that is sold is what is keeping up the movement at that point of time. So we can see that Robert purchased the books, and Robert himself was unemployed. He's taking unemployment checks, and in that he is living. And he's not the daring and the personality that Srila Prabhupada wants anyone to be. But Srila Prabhupada called him Mr. Robert, and he's a very shy boy. And Prabhupada spent the whole day with him. And then in the afternoon, he says that let us take some rest now. And then he lies down on the blanket on the floor, and Robert also lies down on the other end of the floor. And after that, he got up, and then they both used to go out walking. And Prabhupada is engaging Robert in one way or the other. I mean, he doesn't know how to pay the rent for this. But Robert says that they used to go from one place to another place, a big hall, and to find out that whether it can be built a temple. And then 2-3 places like that they went. And the rent was around, I think, $2,000 or so a month. So we can imagine at that time, $2,000 a month, and then compare it to the place where Srila Prabhupada is staying, $72 a month. So we can see where he was staying. But it didn't stop him from thinking big. So Robert says that we went to 2-3 places, but then after some time we had to stop because we found out that how would we make that much money? Where would that much money come from? But still, Robert was in some recording. He did some technological course, how to record music, and then he made Srila Prabhupada record a tape, and he's going to the tape companies to see that if they would take it and publish it, and they're saying no, it cannot be done, and it was just plain no. But we felt discouraged. That's what he says. We felt discouraged, but he didn't say much about it. I mean, he went to the next adventure, as he calls it. We felt discouraged, but he didn't say much about it. So, like this, he was the first person who was sent was Robert, but Satsarup Maharaj is making a point that Robert is not the kind of a person who Srila Prabhupada is wanting to be, like doing things, daring and trying to get big things done. He's a shy boy, but whatever he is ready to offer, Srila Prabhupada accepts it to engage him in the service. So this is where we see that I think it was 5,000 a month or 10,000 a month. The building was between 6th and the Broadway and 42nd Street, some place to open Krishna's temple. We went in and up to the 2nd floor and saw the renting agent, and then we left. I think it was 5,000 a month or 10,000 a month. We got to a certain point and the money was too much. And then we left. When he brought up the prices, I figured we had better not. We had to stop. So sometimes Robert was wondering, where will the Swami get this much money? Because sometimes from his unemployment checks, he would get some groceries, purchases for Srila Prabhupada. You see what all he purchased. Once he brought orange colored t-shirts. Once he went to Woolworths and bought kitchen pots and pans and some picture frames for Prabhupada's picture of Lord Chaitanya and the spiritual master. Then he wanted to learn how to make chapati, and Prabhupada said $100 please for the recipe, $100. And then he went and got some money, but it was not $100. And what he remembers is Swami kept saying that wash hands, and you should eat only with your right hand. So we can see that, how he actually practically very patient, very tolerant, very compassionate, very sensible, trying to give them Krishna in a way that they can accept. That is the cause for Srila Prabhupada's success. See, initially there was no books, no temples, but his personality of unconditional love and care and compassion. And at the same time, he was their spiritual guide, strict, asking them to give up certain things and take up certain things, and about chanting. And just by his personal association, he grew the movement. So the third part in this chapter is something that's, starting to happen. So there was this restaurant called Paradox, and that is in the Lower East Side. So it was a restaurant that was a small underground tea shop kind of a restaurant where there are the tables and chairs to sit, and people actually come there, and you can sit for how much of a time you want. You don't necessarily need to buy anything from there to sit there, and then they serve you tea any number of times you want, and the food was very reasonable. So the people there, it was like a meeting place for people who had some interest in Eastern philosophy, spiritual values like that. So there were that in that restaurant, a person was working, and he was Bill Epstein, and his friend was Harvey Cohen. Harvey Cohen was a freelance artist. So he went to Dr. Mishra's place, and he had seen the Swami there and Prabhupada there. So he came to describe what is a Swami to his friends. The Bill says that at first I was not interested because I was into Buddhism and I was into macrobiotic diet. But Harvey, I know Harvey, he doesn't say something which is not very interesting. So he kept on saying that the Swami is fantastic and we should go there. And in fact, Harvey, once got a plate of food from Bill. This I'm going to take it to Swami. Hope you don't mind. So then Bill is also coming to the lectures, and then he's still lecturing in Dr. Mishra's thing also. At that time, he had come there, and Dr. Mishra is introducing him that we are the moons to the Swami's sun. And the Swami is speaking so nicely, and so I think the Bill is the one who took the food there. Bill is also working there, and he's asking the manager, can I take some food for the Swami? And then he said, no, you take anything you want. And he took some brown rice. And Prabhupada is saying that, come, sit down. This is the sign of friendship that you want to bring some food. And I also want to give you some food. And what does Srila Prabhupada have to offer? A slice of apple. He didn't have anything. Otherwise he would have definitely offered something. So he gave a slice of apple, and he's asking him, have you chanted? And he's talking about chanting. And he says that, you must come back. And this was the first introduction. And there is another person, James Green. So he is a 30-year-old. He's a carpentry teacher. And he's also delving in Eastern philosophy. And how did James Green come there? Because he's a regular visitor to the Paradox restaurant. In the evening, he comes there to take his evening meal, and he's overhearing Bill and Harvey talking excitedly about the Swami, and that's been a regular ongoing topic at the Paradox. So he was thinking that, okay, let me go and try. And he was wanting to hear. He says that I was just a listener. I'm not a go-getter, and I'm not trying to do something aggressive, but I'm a listener. So I went there, and then I heard the Swami when he spoke. Then, like by the word of mouth, more people came, and then it got crowded. So what happened was the people who were coming there to listen to the Swami were like little cultured, from families, old women and widows, like that. They were coming there. And then when the people from the Paradox, they were like hippies with long hairs. And even in those days, so this, David or someone was saying, it was still unusual to see a person with long hair and a beard. And when such people started coming to the Swami's meetings on the west side, some of the older people were alarmed. As one of them noted, Swami Bhaktivedanta began to pick up another kind of people. He picked them up at the Bowery or some attics. Bowery is a very low-class area, and they came with funny hats and grey blankets wrapped around themselves, and they startled me. So when this kind of group started coming, the original sophisticated group, they started falling apart. They started stop to come because they are who are these kids who are coming here? And the kids, they say that David Allen, he is saying that, the people who were listening to the Swami were a kind of first budgety group of older women on the west side. So this was a contrast. We can see slowly the young people are coming in, and then there is a contrast between them and the older elite kind of crowd that was coming there. So so what they were thinking that, but Swamiji changed right away to the younger, poorer group of people. That's what he has to say. The next thing that happened was that Bill Epstein and others began talking about how it would be better for the Swami to come downtown to the Lower East Side. Things were really happening down there, and somehow they weren't happening uptown. People downtown really needed him. Downtown was right, and it was right. There was life down there. There was a lot of energy going around. But as it is mentioned that they were younger and poorer. But, Srila Prabhupada very immediately changed to them. And more of them started coming. So that's where this chapter ends. So we can see, we are just seeing this whole, maybe his stay in 307, his lecture part, and a few of the people who have come there, and how is he struggling. But this is just one incident of this whole life there. We can imagine what he's undergoing day in and day out. And also some of the very wonderful takeaway points are his poverty and his discouragement, and where his position is, it didn't matter to him at all. He didn't have the means to pay the rent of $72, but he was thinking, and this is the time he's writing, we see the Padampat Singhania, he wrote the letters of $20,000 down payment, and then having a big temple for the Lord. So no wonder he is Abhay Charan. Someone told him that, Prabhupada, you're brave. When he was walking, I really like this pastime. When he was walking with his disciples during the time that in Calcutta, the Victoria building was being built. At that time, the building was built and they were walking around, and Srila Prabhupada is telling that when I was young, around 10 years old, this building was being built. At that time, we all used to climb up to the top of the building and jump from there. So one of the devotees said that, Srila Prabhupada, you're very brave. You were brave. And Prabhupada said that I am still brave. Otherwise, how would I have gone to your country and think of preaching this? And in one sense, in another time, he said that actually, I don't think much whether it's possible or not when trying to do some service. So I heard or read somewhere that Srila Prabhupada said this. Yeah, so maybe we'll stop here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We can see that Bhagavatam was 5,000 years. Chaitanya Charitamrita was 500 years old. And this is just 50 years old. And in the worst circumstances, the worst possible anything anybody can have. But he had a heart of a pure devotee, committed to the service of his spiritual master. So our Srila Prabhupada is very, very glorious. Let's offer our humble obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. If you have any realizations you can share.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. I wish your class was there every week. So much involvement in Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. And of course, you can talk on Srila Prabhupada and Lilamrta even without any notification, forget 2 minutes before notification, without zero notification, you can talk. So amazing, amazing, amazing. You really took us to that point, to the pastime. There was so much involvement that we all got pulled in. And we could really see what Prabhupada was going through. It was so beautiful when you explained it, everything came alive. So thank you. And of course, immense gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for all that he went through. So you really took us through a step-by-step journey, and it was like a movie for me. So thank you so much, Mataji. Can't glorify now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. You know, I am trained by so many years by hearing to your lectures in Bhakti Sangha, in spite of whether you can give or not, whether they are going to ask you to come to office or not, with so many things. You continue this service with such enthusiasm, and I'm so grateful to you. I'm just following in your example. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Mataji, no words, Mataji, for today's class. It was so mesmerizing, and hearing from you, a pure devotee, is also very, very sweet, Mataji. So nice. I'm just completely involved in the class, Mataji, just listening from starting to ending. And some points really strike, Mataji, when hearing your class, especially first when Srila Prabhupada is counting on the blessings and encouragement given by Srimati Sumati Morarji, how she encouraged Srila Prabhupada. So we can relate, in spite of all the disappointments, discouragements around him, with one encouraging word, how he had drawn so much energy to take forward this mission. That is very nice, Mataji. And another point regarding this women taking the hair, making a part front. I have a question, Mataji. This one. So, is there any significance, Mataji? As a South Indian, I also too hear that a woman should take a or make a braid with a parted hair. So, is there any significance, Mataji? I have no clarity on this.
Even I have heard that from my parents and my grandmother as well, that we can't comb the hair without a part. And also, as we know, that is the second or third time that Srila Prabhupada said this. And also we can see that the early devotees, the pictures, the women, if we see the videos, they all did that. And I don't know anything more than this. Why? Is there any significance? Anybody would like to add or answer this?
One thing, Mataji, that often they talk about center part is because that's where they put the sindoor in some cultures, may not be in all cultures, but some cultures in India, some regions in India, they apply sindoor to the forehead. And generally the sindoor is put in the center, right? So that's why they talk about center partition, applying the sindoor through it. So that's the only thing that I know of. So I just thought I'll share.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. And another realization I got, Mataji, while listening to this summary, at one point, Srila Prabhupada emphasized how to select a guru. While choosing a guru, how we have to be careful. So at one lecture of Srila Ramanujacharya, how to selecting guru, he had given example that not exactly he, the speaker has given example that what is the importance of exact a genuine guru, not exact, genuine guru, who will take us back to Godhead. So he has given that we know that in rainy season we get tiny snakes from the muddy areas, and those snakes with its mouth they will catch little frogs. And this snake cannot swallow that frog or leave that frog. So what this frog in between the jaws of the snake is struggling. It's struggling. The snake will not leave the frog, or it will not swallow. If it is swallowed, the frog will get means it doesn't have any pain. Or if it leave also, the frog doesn't have any pain. So exactly, a pseudo guru or not a real guru, when we go approach to that kind of guru, he won't give us salvation or he won't let us go. That will be our situation. So exactly, Srila Prabhupada has given an example of how to select a school also. So while you're relating, I remembered those analogy, Mataji.
Wonderful analogy,
some other lecture I heard. So we can relate the importance of a genuine guru who will take back us to Krishna's lotus feet. So that I got, Mataji. And lastly, after listening to this entire lecture, Mataji, I can relate. Blessed means not get just blessings. We have to work hard day and night to impress or to please our Guru Vargas, and ultimately we can go back to Godhead. Just not going or just taking blessings is not enough. We have to work hard. We can see how Srila Prabhupada working hard in that extreme conditions. That is really amazing, Mataji. From listening to these all lectures, Mataji, of Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrta, we can say that anyway, it is not a spoon feeding for him. All the devotees are coming, praising him, or not like that. He is having so much of adversities in each and every point, but he is having a lot of faith in Guru's words and Krishna's words. And after listening to your class also, Mataji, it's so purifying, Mataji, listening from you. So please come whenever, as Preeti Mataji said, it is always my pleasure to hear from you, Mataji. So please give your association every day, every Friday, Mataji, if possible. It will be our fortune, Mataji, to listen from you. Thank you so much, Mataji, for this wonderful summary. So
it's your purity that you see, Mataji. I also thank you so much, because this is something that reading Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrta is purifying. It's enthusing us, encouraging us, and connecting us directly to Srila Prabhupada. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yes, Mataji, exactly. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, dear devotees, so please go ahead with your realizations for Mataji's class.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj's beautiful class, Mataji. As Preeti Vilasini Mataji was saying, like, engrossed. So you were just narrating so beautifully. Shows your love for Srila Prabhupada, Mataji. Please bestow us with the same. And so nice. I mean, so many points. And as you said that, had it been not such a big deal, like if he hadn't struggled so much, we wouldn't have taken the movement. It takes a sage to sacrifice so much for a fallen soul like me to come to Krishna consciousness, leave all the I still have bad habits, but at least that 4 regulative principle and 16 round minimum, whatever sort of chanting that is, but at least to do all that and try to become a devotee itself. It takes so much struggle on part of Srila Prabhupada for all of us. And that also is a point that I was feeling when we preach. For me, I would say I get so disappointed so easily. I give Bhagavad Gita, nobody takes, and but how much it took Srila Prabhupada to convince, in fact, I wouldn't say Westerners, even all of us. First, after 5 years, when he went back, and then everybody I was reading in, I will build a temple, a part of it. And Giriraj Maharaj was saying that somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, why are you going back? He said, no, my job here in West is done for 5 years. Now I do preach the Indians. So it is so wonderful, Mataji. I mean, it is like, as you were submerged into the katha, we were too. And thank you so much for giving us this experience, Mataji. And while you were saying it, I was thinking so many points. Right now, I don't remember that 7 blocks of walking. I cannot do it even at the age of this age. I will not say it on the recording. But yes, Mataji, it must have been so hard. And I love the point when you said that Prabhupada said, I'm still brave. Otherwise, now I'm here. That's so true, Mataji. I had so many points, but now I do not remember. But I just want to express my gratitude towards you, Mataji, for bringing such a wonderful lessons to us.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It's your classes are so good, and your love for Srila Prabhupada. Every day you hear a lecture, and you make many people hear a lecture, post it, run a group, so we can see that you are naturally, attracted to Prabhupada, probably because of your previous connections and your example, your questions, and the way you read.
It's not about me, Mataji. It's your class. We should glorify you, Mataji.
No, it's you're listeners, so definitely, Mataji, and I have listened to your classes, so thank you so much for your association and your love for Prabhupada.
Years of sacrifice. I'm yet to do that, Mataji. So bless me that I may also do something for Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Very, very beautiful class, Mataji. As everybody said, so much of love for Srila Prabhupada. Last minute also you can give the class such a nicely, Mataji. Very, very nice, Mataji. Such a beautiful, beautiful class. Very, very grateful to you, Mataji. I really like the point that how Srila Prabhupada was teaching every small, small thing because they don't know anything. Every small thing. I mean, to speak to a new person, American, when you approach, you get very much scared to speak. What to speak to them because they don't know anything. What is Krishna? They don't know. What do we do? They don't know. What is vegetarian? They don't know. What is prasad? They don't know. How to? I mean, it's so hard. Where to start? Only Acharya knows that how to start and where to start. How to melt their heart just by seeing. That Acharya only can do. That's very nice, Mataji. Such a beautiful class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. We are all inspired by your constant service, example, and classes. And also, last week, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, we know how much she prepared for it and so many slides and so much hard work. But I just read through it. Thank you, Mataji, for accepting any kind of type of presentation. And thank you for your encouragement that you said that we can just do Veda base and we can screen share and discuss. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Nice to see you here, Mataji. I was so surprised when I turned on the class. Oh my God, Mataji is giving class. So nice. You can speak hours and hours about Srila Prabhupada. That much, I'm really missing your association, Mataji.
Yeah, me too, Mataji. The Sunday Aarti and dressing Jagannath together and your Chivda especially. Hare Krishna, yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Nice, very nicely you spoke about Srila Prabhupada, Mataji, and all the small pastimes and so nice, how to dress up and how to do, and even the hair. And he was there in Bombay for some time. Like that, you cover so many points, Mataji. So nice to hear from you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. All those, I heard from Bhakti Sangha classes only by previous speakers.
Yeah, you heard, but you remember, that's more important, and you could repeat, that's even more important. Thank you so much.
Yeah, your mercy, Mataji. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah. And this book is such a nicely written, right? Any book for that matter, any remembrances or katha of Srila Prabhupada is so touching, and this Lilamrta so nicely done. In one page he's showing us, one thing is to read and see what it is, another thing is to so many things that is in between lines, he's telling us what kind of situation was there. So we are very grateful to Satsarup Maharaj for doing this.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Such a beautiful class, like everybody was saying. Please come every week, Mataji, like Preeti was saying. Like, please give your association. Every week.
We want to hear you, Mataji.
Oh no, it will be like a frog, in the company of such great devotees, Mataji. Please give your association, and so many points from the class touched me. And in one sense, I don't know why I also do that. When anybody walks into the kitchen, I'm like, wash your hands, wash your hands. Soap there, wash your hands with soap. I tell that always to my family or anybody who enters my kitchen. Sometimes they are offended, that I'm like kind of telling this repeatedly. But after listening to Srila Prabhupada, I felt a little less guilty. Okay, I'm not doing such a wrong thing after all. And just the sweetness of Prabhupada, it shines through every chapter of Lilamrta. And all glories to Maharaj, who has written this so beautifully and giving us the sweet nectar too. It's just amazing to listen. The way he has written it is also so commendable, that it's taking us to that exact point of time, like the other Matajis were saying. And one more thing, Mataji, I don't know all the details of this, but I do remember during like when they do the before when a lady is pregnant and they do the Seemantam and like that, or during Seemantam time they tell the lady to part the hair actually at that point of time. So I'm not sure how it is related. I tried to ask the pujari, but I didn't get any definitive answer. But it is a custom that the lady must part the hair during Seemantam. And that's something that just came to my mind. I wanted to just share, Mataji. And several points from the lecture were very appealing, Mataji, and very, like you said, motivating as to how Srila Prabhupada with so little could accomplish so much, and his never give up kind of attitude, which is, I mean, it's just so inspiring to listen to Prabhupada Lilamrta all the time. And please do give your association, Mataji, like please give more often. I tend to learn a lot. So it's a very selfish motive, but please, I beg for your association, Mataji.
The same here, Mataji. We also learn a lot when you give the class, and also you sing the song. That is so touching to the heart. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, that's true. Thank you for sharing that very valuable piece of information about Seemantha Nayana. We can still and research more and get to know more about this. Yeah, thank you, Mataji, for your valuable realization.
Thank you, Mantha. The other point that came to my mind regarding hair was, in Vedic culture, ladies don't let down their hair like that. It's considered very sign of an uncultured woman, or in some places I've read prostitutes, only they let down their hair.
I know.
But now it's, I mean, in the Western country, it's just the opposite for whatever reasons. So, though we try to follow this all, like, because we are brought up in that way. Sometimes we need to do such things, when we are in the public. But that also just came to my mind, Mataji, when talking about the hair. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for your valuable additions. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Ji Lalitangi Mataji, Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Yes, Mataji, we just read Srila Prabhupada Amrita, but you feel it and you realize it. आपने digest किया है श्रील प्रभुपाद अमृता का, तो अंदर से जो रस आता है ना माताजी, वो बता नहीं सकते माताजी हम words में. I try to take summary in 2 minutes by your mercy, Mataji. Secret palace actions is what is the Swami said to me. Mataji, Srila Prabhupada said to wear a dhoti, tilak, and for making pethi and sari and sindoor, and I'm not happy. And Srila Prabhupada said that I am not happy here by my mind. By my mind, I am in Shridham Vrindavan Dham. But ये तो मेरा गुरुदेव का आदेश है कि I have to come in abroad and I have to preach Krishna conscious. So this is the Srila Prabhupada mood that wherever we stay, we have to be very strict to follow the instruction of our Guru Maharaj. And these words is touched to my heart. I am duty bounds. All my all my inconvenience come here to preach. So many obstacles came in the path of preaching my Guru Maharaj Adesh, but still he is here by the to preach Krishna conscious, to give us Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's
preaching for the pleasure and for the agna of his Guru Maharaj. And Srila Prabhupada came 1965, 1966. Mataji, there is no money, and still he has a full faith in a lotus feet of Shishi Radha Shyam Sundar. And you explained about Matra Sparseya Kaunteya Sitofala Sukha Dukkada Agama Paino Nityam Tam Titiksham Shabharata. And Sadi Agrawal, जो फ्रीज में वेज एंड नॉन वेज रहता था, he become a devotee by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And it is very difficult to preach Krishna conscious. In India, it's very easy by seeing the flute or by seeing the peacock feathers. They understand and know gadguti mein matlab sanskar hote, but in abroad they don't know who is Lord Krishna, Shrimati Shishi Radharani, and they are like fully attached of all the material things, and there to preach Krishna consciousness is very difficult. So Srila Prabhupada is just praying our Guru Parampara and Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that please make me a puppet, that I will share Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji and Shri Radha Shyam Sundar and Shridham Vrindavan Dham in abroad. And that is Prabhupada's dream to make a temple, Mataji. And Sihania is like a write down 3, 4, 5, 6 times later, but still Prabhupada has a full faith that he will send the money. But finally, and Srila Prabhupada is staying in $72 small room. There is only space for a typewriter and the mic, and one side is the book, and one side 1 or 2 Vaishnav will sit. So, and they visit for a hall that is 2,000, 5,000 rupees, and with Mr. Robert, and it's too costly. Still, Srila Prabhupada has so much patience that by the mercy of Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, we will start a temple in that place, in abroad. And world is full of inconvenience. Basic knowledge is not there in abroad, but he has a faith in spiritual master words. What is the school and what is the clothes shop? That is if we don't have a difference between both of them, then it is difficult to preach them. And Srila Prabhupada said that transcendental awakened matter, if you don't have any knowledge, primary knowledge should be there, but here there is no primary knowledge. And still Srila Prabhupada is given a very patiently that उनका जो क्वेश्चन थे वो बहुत पेशेंसली आंसर देते थे. And one thing I want to cleanliness, I hear from H.G. Kishori that there is a Shri H.G. Yamuna Mataji. So Yamuna Mataji, she's wearing short skirt and t-shirt, and she's helping in Srila Prabhupada cooking seva. So that one time she went outside, and that time she's a very new Vaishnavi, so she smoked outside, and then she came. Then Prabhupada said, clean your hand. So that time Yamuna Maharani not understand, but after some years Yamuna Maharani understand why Srila Prabhupada said clean your hand, and from that day I think he stopped to smoke cigarette. So this is the determination of Vaishnava, and that Robert has buy the $16.50 Shishi Bhagavatam set, and he buy a grocery, sometimes he buy a frame, and for Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji Sankirtan. So Srila Prabhupada is very patiently and tolerate very sincerely Srila Prabhupada love and care and compassion about, and they teach about the chanting and read Shri Bhagavad Gita and Shri Chaitanya Shri Bhagavatam front of the Vaishnava, and you don't need buy any. And then that person Harvey take that say he is following some microbiotic diet, but then he bring rice, and Srila Prabhupada don't have anything, so he offer a apple. So we learn a lesson, Mataji, that whatsoever mood to serve Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Sri Radha Gopinath, in very small material difficulties, we become depressed. Oh, I cannot go outside and distribute books. But how much Srila Prabhupada is past the difficulties. Mr. Sihania said that Dwarkadhish Vasi and Srila Prabhupada is Shridham Vrindavan Dham Vasi. So how simplicity Srila Prabhupada has, and how simple way Srila Prabhupada is convinced the other Vaishnava. Lalitangi Mataji, koti dandavat pranam to your sincere seva. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Yes, Mataji. Every week eagerly hear about Srila Prabhupada Lilamrta from your tongue, Mataji, because you digest it so nicely that वो रसा अंदर से बहुत आनंद देता है, Mataji. Please give your association and blessing to all of us. Srila Prabhupada की जय, Srila Prabhupada अमृता की जय, जी ललितांगी माताजी की जय. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hedji Vrinda Gopika Mataji ki Jai. Mataji, we cannot even try to follow you. How much holy names. Every time you start to talk, you always, glorify Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, Radha Gopinath, every line to line, and wonderful summary, Mataji. I thought you were cooking. I don't know how you did cooking and taking notes.
Mataji, today Srila Prabhupada cooking day. So we cook and we have to drop the prasadam some Mataji's home.
See,
so now Drashti
really
also started to help. My Prabhuji also help. It's a teamwork, Mataji.
Wonderful, Mataji. So see who's really I'm doing lip service and you're doing real service to Srila Prabhupada. So you should give us your blessings, Mataji, so we can follow your example. Very, very inspired by your constant service, Mataji. Thank you so much for your association. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I don't know anything. Only cooking seva I know.
No, Mataji, we heard your class last week. We heard your class last week. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I'm sorry to interrupt in between. Mataji, the last line that you mentioned, I don't know, you don't have a PPT, so where Srila Prabhupada says, I don't think much, but I just do it, something like that. Can you repeat that, Mataji?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where I read, or maybe from Prabhupada memories I heard. Once Srila Prabhupada said that if something has to be done, some service has to be done, I don't really think whether it's possible or not. Means he doesn't put his limitation to see. I mean, otherwise, who can do this, right?
Yeah, that is such an inspiration for all of us towards the mood towards seva, like whether I'll be able to do or not.
Right.
Yeah, but Krishna will make it happen. So just, no, thank you, Mataji. I just wanted to hear it, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Are there any realizations for Mataji's class? Okay, Mataji. So I think it's again wonderful, Mataji. Thank you so much for this very, very, what we can say, we are all deeply immersed in this Katha of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji. So with this, I would like to pay my obeisances to you and all the devotees on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhya namo namo Anantakoti Vaishnav Brahmacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada Lilamrta ki jai, Lalitangi Mataji ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Koti dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Very, very nice and beautiful class, Mataji.
Thank you, Matajis, everyone, for joining today's class. We'll meet again on Monday. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Radhika Mataji. Thank you so much.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.